What's going on, everyone? So D'Angelo Russell has been a real disappointment thus far this season. He did, however, last season start this same way, right? Like through the first 15, 20 games or so, he was shooting like 31% from three, really struggled, and then had that game where I think he dropped like 27, something like that, and then he was just good the rest of the season, right? Historically great. Literally set Laker records and all that stuff. But so far this season, he's been rough and has not looked good by any stretch of the imagination. I do credit that, he has accepted that sixth man role, and he's just been very passive in a lot of ways, right? Like not taking the shots that he usually would take. The other night, I think it was the Orlando game. He had like a wide open three, right? Like he was, I don't know, maybe a good 2 feet, 3 feet behind the line. But it was a shot that last season he was firing 10 times out of 10 without hesitation, without even a thought. And he didn't shoot it. And I was like literally screaming at the team, shoot the basketball. Like, what are you doing? And he doesn't look like he did last season. Now, part of it could be he's coming off the bench or whatever. But even like to start the season, he didn't look like it. And it's a real problem. Now, look, I will be very surprised if D'Angelo Russell is a Laker beyond the trade deadline, right? Like, I just think he's going to get traded. He's the odd man out. He just doesn't make sense. He's an expiring contract, and I just think that that's going to be gold thanks to the new CBA. Once you get to the trade deadline, right? Like right now, nobody's making trades. Teams are not in a rush to make a trade, but once you get close to the trade deadline, right, all of a sudden, 18.5 million expiring or 18.6 million expiring contract is going to have a ton of value. And I think that the Lakers will pull off some moves, some type of trades. So I really will be surprised if D'Angelo Russell is a Laker beyond this season. However, until that happens, in the meantime, right, we need the best version of D'Angelo Russell possible, right? Because the better D'Lo is, the better the Lakers are. And he is still a guy that we have seen that when he's on, he's cooking. Man, this is a guy that when he's on, it is fun to watch. And his confidence is high, and he's out there, and he's all swagging, and it's just, it's getting him to that point, right? Like, you look at kind of where he's been, and the last two seasons before this season, prior to this season, he was pretty identical, right? He, gave you 17, 18 points. He shot 41%, almost 42% from three-point range. He shot 41.4%, 41.5% back-to-back seasons, right? On 6.5 attempts and 7.2 attempts. He shot, 48% from the floor and then 45.6% from the floor. 2-point range, he was at, 50% or over or better in those 2 years. Free throw shooting, he's at 82.8%. Assists, gave you basically 6 assists both seasons. Right? Like, you go down the list, and it's like those 2 years were pretty identical. 17, 18 point a game guy, gave you 6 assists, gave you, steal, half a block, basically had a 3-for-1 assist turnover ratio, was good, was really good. Obviously, the playoff woes are a thing, right? But just strictly keeping it to the regular season, he was everything this team needed and then some, right? Another secondary playmaker, a guy that, LeBron go to the bench and he could just kind of take over and you wouldn't miss a beat. Problem is, Darvin Ham didn't really utilize him that way. And then now you look at this season and it's just like all the confidence in this man is shot. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know if he's having his struggles. He's playing a different role, like without a doubt. He's playing a different role, and he's no longer like the third guy, but like he's giving you 11 points. He's giving you 5 assists still, which is good, steal. No, he's still giving you basically a 3-to-1 assist turnover ratio, but he's shooting 30% from 3-point range, 28.9. We saw the same thing last season. Same thing. And then, all of a sudden, he just figured it out. Turned it on. Right? You look at 2-point range, 49%, shooting 38.2% from the floor, period. But you look at his total attempts, right? He was shooting 13, then 14.2. Now he's shooting 10.3. So he's shooting 3 to 4 fewer attempts than what he did the first 2 years. So part of that, I'm sure, doesn't help, right? Austin Reaves is the guy that JJ and this team is running through, right? He's the third guy. Austin Reaves is the third guy. D'Lo has basically been relegated to the sixth man, which the idea was that he can kind of play more his game, right? Like Reaves and LeBron can go to the bench. D'Lo, here you go. Here's the keys. You handle the business, right? You and AD got to run some two-man game. You can be more aggressive. You can score the basketball, all that stuff. But the problem is that D'Lo is not doing the aggressive part. You know, like the playmaking at times, he's been really good. He's kind of been inconsistent at times in that regard. He is, and I've mentioned this before, he is one of the few guys that regularly gets Dalton Knecht the basketball, so that's something. Literally, D'Angelo Russell and Dalton Knecht are the second best duo in the entire NBA. I've shared this several times. I've talked about this several times, right? Because he's one of the few guys that actually is actively getting Knecht the basketball. But again, it needs to be more than that, right? Like, we need him to be the sixth man, right? I'm not expecting him to average 18. I'm not expecting him, like, even if he's just giving you 12 a game, right? He's giving you 11 and some change. Let's say he was giving you that, but on, 40% from 3, 55% from 2, had a, field goal percentage of like, 49% or something like that, right? Like, perfect. Like, that's fine. If he's giving you, 11, 12 points with 5 assists, a steal, right? Like, and doing it on efficiency, knocking down, 2.5, threes a game or whatever, 2 threes a game. Perfect, right? If he was like 2 of 5 from 3-point range on the season average, right? Like, perfect. Give you a couple twos, give you a couple free throws, right? You add the assist. The guy's giving you, even if every assist is a 2, he's still generating, 20 points to 25 points a game off the bench, right? Like, that's perfect. Him alone is literally generating that, right? Like, but the problem is that's not what's happening, right? Like, Reaves has been the third guy. Okay, fine. You need D'Lo to be that sixth man. He's bought in and he's accepted and he's not thrown a fit, which to his credit again, right? He's a guy that we saw last season, cryptic tweets and throwing tantrums and just not a guy that was willing to really accept and buy into that idea, right? But he's done it for JJ. And so he does deserve credit in that regard. But he has been bad. Yeah, it's been bad. Look, I've been very critical of Austin Reaves. Austin Reaves has been very inconsistent. But Austin Reaves at least has his games here and there, like you saw in the Denver game, right? Like, Austin Reaves at least has his games here and there where he's really good. Now, part of that is, again, he's the third option compared to D'Lo being the sixth. But D'Lo's got to figure it out, right? And a lot of it, I think, stems from just his lack of aggression this season, right? He was very aggressive last year, right? Like, he had the confidence. He had the swagger. He got, you saw, like, one shot goes in, boom, he's lighting it up, right? He was our Dalton Knecht last year in a lot of ways. The guy that go knock down 9 threes. Guy that go and get you 10 assists and drop 30 points, right? Like, and that's what we need, right? Especially as the sixth man, that would be massive. Like, I was really hopeful and excited, especially when D'Lo, his first game off the bench, he gave you 18. Then he followed that up with a 15-point game, and I was like, boom, here we go. This is what we needed, right? A guy, we're the worst bench, or they were like third at the time, third worst bench, but we're one of the worst benches at the time, right? And it's like, we're averaging 20 points per game off the bench. D'Lo in his first game off the bench basically doubled or matched our point total. So it's like, boom, this is exactly what we needed. And then I was hopeful, not saying he was going to give you 18 a night or anything like that, but hopeful that there would be some level of consistency. Again, even if it was like 13 points a night, right? 40% from three or 38% from three, whatever, not 29, 28, 29%. Right? I really thought D'Lo was going to figure this out a little better. And it was like, okay, cool. Like, he's buying in. He's going to emerge, right? Like, is there this, there's even like an argument, man. Like, and even the reports came out, like the Lakers are reluctant to trade him because he's been so good. And since then, that's like really cooled off. And it's just like, man, we really need D'Lo to be the best version of himself. Again, I believe he gets traded at some point. I will be pretty surprised if he's on this roster come the trade deadline. But until he's traded, if he's traded, he needs to be the best version of himself because the Lakers need it. Lakers need D'Lo to be, at least good. I'm not saying he has to be great or elite or anything, just at least good. Got to be able to count on you and just be consistent off the bench on a nightly basis. And hopefully he kind of figures it out. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you have your concerns? Do you think look, D'Lo, he's just not being aggressive? Do you think that, it's just kind of the role he's playing now, right? He's not the third guy anymore. He's the sixth, like literally the sixth. So now it's like, is he going to be able to get to that point? Is that something that's even possible at this point? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it either way. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.